If you look around the world today, I listen to Gough Whitlam and his 14 million Australians, and he trades heavily with Japan. I'm very fond of the Australians. But do you think he's going to enter into a relationship with Japan where he gives Japan the right to make the laws in Australia? Do you think Canada, 22 million of them, and to the south a great and friendly nation? Yes, they are. But do you think Canada is going to allow its laws to be written by the 200 million people in some union in America? No, no, of course not. The whole thing is an absurdity, and therefore I urge you to reject it. I urge you to say no to this motion, and I urge the whole British country to say no on Thursday in the referendum.
When all the economic and other arguments are melted away, I feel strongly about it because at bottom this erodes the importance of the vote. For people in this country who don't have money or power in industry, it is the vote that is their main safeguard for the future. And common market membership devalues and downgrades the vote because it prevents people using the ballot box to adopt policies, change men who adopt policies and thus change taxes and laws. Because in future, if people vote yes on Thursday, then whatever the outcome of the general elections may be, much real power will rest in the hands of those who will not be affected by our elections. Now, there are men who give their lives for the right to self-government, independence, democracy. There are many men in the world today in prison for those rights. And we are being invited to give up those rights for whatever purposes we shall be discussing. And I think that makes this the most important point in British political history.
People didn't fight for the vote just to have the fun of electioneering. They wanted to see that the vote that they used at the ballot box could change things, stop things, alter things, remove governments when necessary. That's one of the principal reasons for having a vote. But that's not going to happen if we're going to stay in the market and if we become enmeshed in the whole of their machinery and apparatus. Because what will happen then is that you can go and have an election in this country in which you vote out the government here, but you won't be voting out all the governments that meet in Brussels to decide what's going to happen to us. It is that precious inheritance given us by the people who fought for the right to vote, fought for the right to form trade unions, fought for the right to establish their own institutions, fought for the right to have an elected House of Commons, which should be the supreme authority in this country and answerable to nobody else. It is those things that are at stake in this campaign. We will have plenty of problems to solve after June the 5th, but let us make it clear that not merely to our own country, but to the other countries, that we believe here in Britain we can solve these problems by using the strength of our democratic institutions instead of casting them aside in this trivial, wanton way. We were led into it by Heath and his companions, a more defeatist, miserable lot has never exercised power in British history. We were led into them by a mood of defeatism. And people say, oh, now we're so caught and trembling inside that we can do nothing about it. I say that that is defeatism too. What we have to do is to reassert the power, the spirit and the determination of British democracy. That's what this campaign is about, and that's why I believe we are heading for victory.
I'm concerned about the way the European Union is increasingly operating like a free market across Europe, tearing up the social chapter, damaging working class and workers' interests across Europe, hiding tax evasion in Luxembourg and other places, and secretly negotiating a transatlantic... Can I finish? Yeah. Secretly negotiating a transatlantic trade and investment partnership. I think we as a party need to be making strong demands of defending and expanding the social chapter, defending and expanding workers' rights across Europe, and chasing down these approved tax havens that exist by the European Union all across Europe, and asking some serious questions about the way they've treated the people of Greece and other countries by their imposition of austerity measures on them.
Okay. Well, we seem to
How
be...
are you going to change it if you're out of it? And the people who are undermining the social chapter is the Tories being dragged to the right by their own backbenchers.
This is why the point I'm making is that Britain ought to be defending those social gains. We, as the Labour Party, should be making demands on this rather than leaving it to Cameron to go away and tear up the social chapter and tear up an awful lot of environmental protection and other issues, and also the way in which TTIP is being negotiated. I think we want a social Europe, a Europe of solidarity. What we're in danger of getting with Cameron's negotiations is a Europe of free market and very little social protection for anybody all across the continent.
If you succeed in getting a no vote here, that will be such a boost to people like us all over Europe that do not want to live in a European empire of the 21st century. I'm pleased you're having a referendum. I wish we were having a referendum in Britain. I obviously hope and believe that the Irish people will vote no in October, but don't scrap your posters, don't recycle them, because you're going to need them for a third referendum. Because I've just got a feeling they're going to keep on voting until they get the answer they want. Under the terms of the Lisbon Treaty, Europe will become subservient to the wishes of NATO and the aims of NATO. We are creating for ourselves here one massive great Frankenstein, which will damage all of us in the long run. What it does is creates this military machine, this military Frankenstein, which will be so damaging to all of us.
I'm the only person in the whole of this Parliament who's voted against every treaty of the EU.
Right, okay.
And it's not because I'm anything clever, it's because I've lived long enough to see the whole thing through from the very beginning. I was here in 1970, and by 1971 the common market vote was taken. It took power away from me and gave it to the Council of Ministers. That's undemocratic. And so, I mean, people should understand. As a matter of principle, for 47 years, I've done the same thing. Isn't that a good thing to be able to say? I published it in my manifesto to the people. Every election, 13 elections, I published it. And they voted by over 70% to leave the European Union in Bolsova. Real people.
Exactly. So
real votes.